I was reading a Stack Overflow article where they surveyed their user base, the developers, and asked them if they use AI tools in their work. And the majority of them, 77%, or more than 3/4, said they did use AI tools in their work. And I know you recently looked over the most commonly used AI tools for UI development particularly. Did you find the same thing? Do most developers use AI tools? Is it like a widespread thing? Is it a growing thing? What did you find?
I think it's a trend already, and AI in general, AI tools are kind of a main subject in almost every conversation every developer has nowadays, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm quite a fan of speeding things up and trying to generate pieces of code, but of course, this has to be with some precautions. Many developers are trying to see how can they integrate AI in general in their code, and how can they increase performance and automating some maybe even code or maybe some processes in their work.
72% of those who responded said that their attitude towards these tools was favorable, which is down from 77% a year before in 2023. So there was a slight decrease in how happy the developers are with the tools, which we don't know the reasons, but it's interesting. And also 45% of them said that the AI tools are bad or very bad at handling complex tasks. So about half of them said that they use AI for the simpler things. Do you think, based on your experience, this is correct, not correct?
I think I might have an idea why there is this difference in people's behavior using AIs. And I think at the beginning it was like a spike. Everyone wanted to see it. What's going on with this?
Yeah,
how can we use it? What's this thing? It's gonna be wonderful. And trying more and more, you kind of see all the potential problems that might appear, and you want to, I don't know, discover all kind of situations or risks that might appear. One thing that I would say from my experience is that we shouldn't let AI use or solve all the complicated thing for us, but maybe use it as a boilerplate and then come with the human expertise and refine all this code and make sure it's safe and correct and it fits the standards and the performance that we want.
So in this way, if you think about it in this way, it's kind of like another framework, a different kind of framework, but the same idea of abstracting and simplifying some of the common things to allow us to think more about the harder problems. There was also another article, a study that was recently published by a company, but this company tracked 800 developers for 3 months. These developers are using Copilot. So the results of the study were there. Copilot neither helped nor hurt the developers in terms of coding speed, but it resulted in 41% more errors in the code.
Yes.
So this is one of the more skeptical studies about AI. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying, I'm trying to address all sides of the... so apparently there is at least a possibility for more errors.
Of course, especially if you're using it blindly. GitHub Copilot indeed has some, you can configure it in a way that it will respect the project standards that you want to use. And then every request that I ask, it's going to be linked to that specifications from the beginning. If you don't do that, of course, you may end up in using pieces of code that you don't want to use. And of course, here come the errors. That's why I said also human expertise is very important. And not only human expertise, but also other code complexity and code safety tools that we normally should use in our pipelines to verify our code.
You mentioned a few kinds of AI tools to generate code itself, to check the code, to tell you if it's good quality. Are there any other kinds of AI tools in the development space as well?
Well, yes, and any AI can be trained to do pretty much what do you want them to do. They are very useful in generated like a draft code, and then you can, with your expertise, you can come and reanalyze it, play a little bit with them, but. Of course, I think around 30% of the speed, it's quite useful.
It's not like you describe the problem to the AI and you click a button and they generate the entire code folder and it compiles and runs. Or I don't know, maybe they can do that. But more like you're generating piece by piece and you're taking it and integrating into the code, the code base.
Well, some of the tools proud themselves that can generate an entire application, full application, 5 hours, and that's it, production ready. That's not quite true. But I think the wise way to use it is to adapt it very much to your standards, to document it very well, what you generate, how do you generate, and what are the areas that you want AI to interfere in your code. But what I think it's even more interesting and nice is that can offer you some explanations to some pieces of code. So if you have a function, a problem, and it's kind of a spaghetti code there, and you don't remember what you've done there, you can just use AI to refresh a little bit your memory and to try to explain what that piece of code is meant to do. One thing that also got me interested in using these tools was to generate unit tests. Because, of course,
nobody wants to write unit tests. So.
I think every developer, when he hears about unit tests, yes, we want them. No, we don't want to do them. Of course, with a set of standards and rules to make sure all the tests are written in the same way, can really help you with a boilerplate regarding that. That doesn't mean that all the tests will pass from the beginning, and you need to interfere there.
How much do you gain by using AI? Like, are you twice as productive, 50% more productive, generally, on average?
I think it depends what do you want to do. If we're using about writing documentation, unit tests, code speeding, I think I'm pretty confident we are about 30%, 40%.
That's a lot, yeah.
But if we're gonna do a very complex task, it might not be relevant, this percentage. Because if it helps, it helps. If it increases the productivity and it automated things. For example, I was able to do something that is normally done in 3 or 4 hours in half an hour, and just use the other time to make it more stable and added some other features important to the code.
You have an AI tool of some sort, generating some code. You cannot trust the code 100%, so you have to check it, adjust it, improve it. Is there a point where it's more work to do that than just writing it yourself? I mean, or is that not the case?
Depends how do you use it again. If you're using step-by-step pieces, you document it very well. It can be really, really well maintained. If you do want to generate a lot of code and your prompts are like this, I want to do an application that does that and that and that and that, you're gonna receive a file with 1,000 lines of code, and with a bigger problem that you had at the beginning.
How do you see the pace of evolution in these AI tools? Is it are they getting better faster? Is it slowing down? How do you see? Initially, AI came up, and a lot of things happened in the first year or so. Right? This and this, and wow, and then at least my impression is it slowed down a little bit, the evolution of the tools. Do you see the same thing in the development space, or?
I think it's kind of going to a linear path. because I think nowadays developers are trying to use them more wisely, and maybe it's a constant rhythm.
Okay, so you think they're going to come up with new, better AI
Yes.
versions that
Yes,
will
definitely,
continue?
definitely,
Okay.
because all the models are learning from the developers basically, and from the requests that are receiving, and then the answers, it's gonna be evolving as well.
I'm curious about a habit. So before AI, when a developer had a question about how to do
They ask
something,
Stack Overflow.
yeah, you go Stack Overflow, or generally Google, but Stack Overflow. Have you changed your habits, and do you now ask
Yes.
an AI?
Yes,
give
I'm
me a
gonna be
sample of this
honest.
code or a sample of, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I said I haven't opened Stack Overflow
I'm
for
not
quite
surprised.
some time.
Yeah.
Because AI tools and AI in general, they're giving me much more evolved responses than
Yeah.
Stack Overflow, and even solutions to some problems that people that are writing on Stack Overflow couldn't find.
Yeah, and sometimes the answers of Stack Overflow are wrong. AI can be wrong too, but Stack Overflow sometimes, it's more people arguing than
Yes.
than answers. So AI is very nice. It doesn't tell you you're an idiot for asking the question. It just gives you the answer. Using AI as a learning tool. When you're a beginner, but not only when you're a beginner, when you're learning something new. Just when you're learning something new, AI can be a great learning partner, because as you try things out, as you familiarize yourself with that technology, you can use it to answer questions, to give you code samples, to. So, do you think that's
You
helpful?
pointed that very well. It's a partner, not a mentor.
Yeah.
This is how we should look at it.
It's like a smarter Stack Overflow, let's say.
It's like our body that already had some familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yes, we shouldn't treat it like a mentor. We shouldn't see like blindly. If some AI told me that this is the right way, it must be. We should not overuse it, but always check with, a real expertise on the field. In some research that I made recently, I asked the tool to solve me some terminal bugs. I had some bug in the application, and suggested me to install some dependencies, some libraries. And if you don't know exactly what those libraries are, and if they're okay to be used.
Another way to hack.
Yes,
yeah.
Indeed. I wasn't surprised to see that at some point the tool that I was using was asking me to install a dependency that wasn't compatible with what I was using previously in the application. So if you're not paying attention on this kind of stuff, you may end up having more problems that you want to solve.
Yeah. And even if it's not like a hack, installing randomly recommended dependencies without understanding what you're installing can be a security problem, just because you don't know what you're installing.
Yes.
This reminds me, you guys had recently had the Secure 9 conference, and one of the speakers there said that the hackers are always faster than the good guys. Because we, the good guys, we want to do things right, and we're thinking about the impact of what we do, and we got legislation and rules and guidelines. Yes. Hackers have nothing of that sort. They just, whatever it works best, they use it the next day. They have no limitations of that type. So do you have a code review process in the team?
Yes.
And
yes.
You review code, and it doesn't matter if it's AI generated or not. You still review the code of other people, and other people review your code.
Definitely. Okay. Well, I think we should treat the code that is generated with the AI as the same as any other code, and double check it.
Double check it. Yeah.
Double check it. It's a learning procedure. We learn from each other, and we learn from our mistakes and from the team mistakes. I would also intend to be even more cautious when it comes with code that are generated, especially because with generated code, also hackers are trying to evolve and using also AI. You cannot say for sure if generated code is compromised or not. Yeah. So you have to be vigilant. You have to have a backup.
Yeah, unless you understand it, look over it and understand it. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this is like a general best practice, I think, since ever in development and in general, but we're talking about development, that you should understand the tools you're using. You don't want to use like an old-fashioned framework. Of course, you don't know every little detail, but you understand what's happening beneath the cover. It's difficult to understand what's happening with AI because it's a different thing. It's like a statistical model that's based on, it's not like a very linear thing. So sometimes you don't know why exactly they generated that thing or the other thing.
Yeah, that's true. But it also, you can regenerate those requirements and those pieces of code until you are satisfied with the result.
A good result, yeah.
And you can also ask for explanation until you pretty much understand what it's doing and why it's one approach or another. You have to give any tool, you have to give like specific prompts and kind of smaller, step by step, baby steps.
Break the problem into smaller problems.
Yes. Yeah. It starts to generate maybe something that you need, but at some point kind of gives you something else, and if you're not paying enough attention and if you're not very rigorous with your code and your standards, there are some risks there. The thing with security, with code that is generated, it's even more risky, I would say, because the prompt injections are quite a thing now. Okay. We are evolving as developer and we're trying to make our life easier, trying to learn from AI and AI from us, but also the hackers do the same. So always double check your code with third party, human expertise, all of them, maybe.